All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Listen, I saw the fight with Andrade and Jack Culcay. It wasn't an impressive performance by Andrade. It wasn't. I seen a lot of the uploaders yesterday um, have titles with Andrade looks terrible, or whatever. I didn't really watch anybody's or listen to anybody's videos, but I did get the chance to look at the fight this morning, early this morning, and he didn't look good. He didn't look good. But it's Jack Culcay. Listen, the guy is shorter, much shorter, smaller. He doesn't have the length. So he had a great plan. He had a great strategy on beating Andrade. And even though I still think Andrade won 8-4, it was tough rounds for him. Even the ones that I gave to him, it was a tough fight for Andrade. And we've seen this every good fighter. We've seen this. Every good fighter have a fight where they, you know, listen. They have a great textbook style of fighting. It could be you doing everything right. All right, but the guys, you fight one guy that no matter what you do, they're awkward. They're awkward for you. You just can't figure them out. And I think that's what happened in this Andre fight. No one expected this. And the way that Colque was fighting, he was unexpected angles, the footwork that he had, very quick on his feet. It was very, very hard for Andre to time him. Even though he had the length and he was on the outside, he just couldn't figure Colque out. All right. The way Jack kept changing it up every single round. And I'm going to break that down. And the reason why I titled this, we've seen this before, I've seen this before, is because I've seen this with other fighters before. Arislani Lara, big fan. But when he fought Carlos Molina, I thought Molina won that fight. Because, Lara was very calm and composed in that fight. But Molina, he just couldn't get the timing together with him. Molina would jump in, step in, he would stay outside of range, and he would step in, work, and move out. And he kept doing it over and over again. Sometimes he would do a little holding and stuff. But that's some of the awkward things that these fighters do in order to win fights. You're the taller guy or the longer guy. You might be the more athletic guy too. But it doesn't matter because guys have a good game plan. They come in and do stuff that you're not expecting to do. And I think that's what happened in this fight. Look at the first round of this fight. Jack O'Kay spent the majority of the first round just measuring Andre. And he measured him over and his arm was up the whole time because he wanted to see where he needed to be outside of Andre's range. He has quick feet. He was doing things that I seen Lomachenko do in his fights with, he's very quick on his feet. He would get in, do his work, and move. Sidestep. He was turning Andre, and Andre got to a point where he he couldn't time him. He couldn't predict what he was going to do. So he will always guard up when Colque came in and try to counter. But by the time he tried to counter, Colque wasn't even in there no more. There's a lot of little things that Jack Colque that was doing that was very impressive. And that was similar to what Lomachenko, similar to what Lomachenko does. Okay? All right? And he had great reflexes. He had good defense. He kept that high guard and Andre didn't get through it. He couldn't get through it, and he had Jack Colque had great reflexes too. He was bending and, his height, he used his shortness as an advantage at some points. Um, but we've seen this in other fights, I mean, listen, you look at Paul Williams. Go back to Paul Williams and Carlos Quintana, the first fight. Paul Williams was undefeated. Carlos Quintana got knocked out by Miguel Cotto at the time. You look at Paul Williams, he was so tall, for a welterweight, so tall, he's a high volume puncher, long arms, everything. He had like every advantage over Carlos Quintana. But for some reason, Carlos Quintana was able to get in and land big shots throughout the whole fight. I believe Paul Williams had cuts and he just looked terrible in that fight. Carlos Quintana landed everything. I mean, Paul was still landing and everything, and we know he destroyed him in a rematch. But I'm saying in that first fight when Paul Williams was undefeated, Carlos Santana clearly won. Clearly won that fight. It's just certain fights. Look at Jermaine Taylor against Sam Solomon. That's another fight that I remembered where Jermaine Taylor is a great textbook. If you want to look at a fighter and look at what they do and talk about like as far as fundamentals, Jermaine Taylor does everything. He's very basic. He's a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 all night. 1-2. Jab right hand, jab right hand. All night. He'll do it all night. But you find Sam Solomon, a guy that's extremely awkward. Much more awkward than the other guys I just named. And for some reason, even though Sam does everything wrong as far as textbook boxing, and Jermaine Taylor does everything right, Solomon was getting the best of him at some points in that fight. So you got to I look at it like this in this fight. I think a lot of things that Jack Culcay did to Andrade was unexpected. The problem is with Jack didn't really have the punching power. He didn't have it. So he couldn't really hurt Demetrius Andrade. But it kept Andrade on guard a lot. And he just couldn't figure him out. He couldn't figure him out at all in this fight. At no point. I think Andrade's worst round was the 6th round where he just looked gassed. And Culcay was doing, most of the time he would jump in, throw his combinations and move. But in this round, I noticed that Culcay would fake and stay on the outside, pop a jab and throw a right hand and land. Because at this point, Andrade's just waiting for him to come in. He's waiting. He's been doing it for so many rounds. And now this guy's taking a step back and throwing shots from the outside because you're not expecting it. Andrade is a well-rounded fighter. He's very gifted. He's a very good boxer. Very good boxer. Definitely one of the best as far as talent. He can do everything. Good inside game, good outside game, strong, athletic, good defense. He's not perfect, but he's very, very good. And this guy made him look bad, made the fight competitive. He forced the fight to be competitive. And Andrade looked terrible. In the 12th round, he looked terrible too. He looked gassed. He looked tired because the guy was just working. And I think he was physically tired, but I think he was mentally tired too because he just couldn't figure out the guy. He was doing his thing too. He was throwing his jabs, landing in straight left, going to the body and stuff. He was doing things too, but he wasn't really controlling what was going on all of the time. He wasn't. The best round Andrade had, in my opinion, was the 7th round. And that, on the scorecards that they were showing, they had Jack Culcay winning the 7th round. But I disagree. I thought Andrade's best round was the 7th round because that's the only round that he used lateral movement throughout the whole round. All right, was throwing that jab, was throwing that left hand, was landing consistently, and he had Culcay following him around the ring. That's the only round that I thought Demetrius Andrade won. And he, after that round, he went right back to doing what he was doing. Standing right in front of him, no moving, no giving him nothing to look for outside of just throwing the jab and the straight left. He really wasn't giving him anything. And then sometimes he will fall into Jack Culcay's trap and just bang on him on the inside. Y'all both landing, y'all both missing. He's long armed, so sometimes some of those shots, some of those inside, those close, those shots that he was throwing while they were close were going behind Jack Culcay. Jack Culcay is the shorter arms, shorter guy, smaller guy in the inside. He's doing more work. He's a little bit more precise with the punches that's landed. On the other end, you had Andrade that's throwing punches, and I'm watching it. Some of the punches are landed on Culcay's back and his sides, not really landing. They're not really landing. So it has no effect on him. There was no point in this fight where Andrade was really able to put any power into anything. Because he was always off balance. And that's the only issue I've had with Andrade. I always thought that his core wasn't really that solid. All right, he does everything right. He's very skillful. But his feet and his legs, they were always a little off balance to me. Okay? And you've seen it in this fight. This is why at certain points he was able to get pushed back and stuff, even though he's a bigger guy and everything. I still think he did enough to win. Like I said, I gave it to 8-4, but we can't attack him because every fighter had a fighter that was awkward for them. You know, Jack Okay is not. I don't think he's really that awkward. It's just the way that he chose to fight Andre was very awkward and unexpected for him. All right. I see people, in comments saying like, I was reading some of the comments and people were, or not the comments, but the titles, and people were saying that, Andre, is underrated, and how can he call out all these other great fighters, and he looks like this, he looks like trash. He's never looked bad before, and he's fought good fighters. We weren't saying that when he beat Monterosian. Remember, he beat Monterosian better than anyone ever did. It was not a close fight. Even the knockdown that he got in the first round, he destroyed him that whole round until the knockdown happened. That was the only round that Vanes Monterosian clearly won. He beat Willie Nelson up and knocked him out. Willie Nelson knocked out Tony Harrison. Well, when Andre fought him, Andre destroyed him throughout the whole fight. He destroyed him. But he gets in there with Jack Culcay, a guy that we're not expecting to be that good. And I seen him fight because I remember last year that they were both right there for that WBA spot. And him, Andrade and Culcay. And I was like, okay, let me check. I looked up a video, saw him fight, and I thought he was good, but it shouldn't be nobody that Andrade shouldn't be able to handle. But you go in, you fight Andrade, and you're the underdog. That I believe they fought in the amateurs too. You're the underdog. This guy has more advantages and stuff. He has more power. He's taller. He's bigger. He's longer. And you got to go in there with a game plan. Like, listen, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw him off, get him, mess his rhythm up. And that's exactly what he did, and that's why it was a close fight. I don't think it should have been a split decision, but Andre definitely didn't look impressive. I had it 8-4, and that's it. I can't say he's trash or anything because he could fight a top fight. He could fight Lara. He could fight Jamel Charlo next. He could fight Jared Horde or whatever and destroy one of them. And then we're like, all right, well, yeah, Andre's the best. I know how it is. We know how it is in boxing. You're as good as your last fight. But listen, other fighters, good fighters, like I said, Lara and Molina. Molina gave him a hell of a fight to me. He couldn't get Molina. He couldn't figure Molina out. From Molina was just leaping in, pop, 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 moving out. Lara couldn't figure him out. It didn't hurt Lara. It wasn't really that effective, but it was giving him points. It was winning him rounds because Lara, Molina's offense disrupted Lara's offense because you can't figure him out. He's doing something different all the time. He's not predictable. And then the same thing goes for, Carlos Quintana back when he fought Paul Williams, or when Sam Solomon fought Jermaine Taylor, or Sam Solomon fought anybody, because Sam Solomon is a complete wizard. Like, that dude fight weird as hell, So anyway, that's it. I'll check you guys on. This is my last video I'm doing today. I'm not doing a video on Lemieux and Stevens. It was a crazy knockout. And I didn't think Stevens was going to win the fight anyway. I figured he was going to get stopped at some point. I didn't think the knockout was going to be that vicious. I thought he was like seriously hurt. That was a crazy knockout. It reminded me of Deontay Wilder or Spilka. Also reminded me of Canelo against James Kirkland. That was a serious, like, I was actually worried about this dude. But, he's all right. And, Lemieux, I expect Canelo to fight Lemieux if Canelo is to beat Chavez Jr. All right? That's the way I'm looking at it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.